Beloved brothers and sisters, in this sacred moment, I ask you to still your heart, quiet your thoughts, and lean into the whisper of eternity. There are times in life when heaven reaches out, when a voice from beyond the veil calls to us, not with fear, but with love. Today is such a moment. Imagine for a moment that someone you have loved and lost, someone whose soul now rests in the peace of heaven, is reaching out to you right now through this message. Their voice rides upon the words I speak, their spirit mingles with yours in this very instant. Archangel Michael, the protector of light, the defender of our hearts, brings this message with urgency. You have 3 minutes. 3 minutes to remember who you are, to awaken to the purpose you were born for, and to let go of the burdens that no longer belong to you. Don't skip this moment. Don't turn away. This isn't a coincidence, it's a divine appointment. There are moments in life when the weight of the world presses down so heavily on your soul that you feel invisible, as though no one sees the quiet battles you fight each day. You might carry smiles like armor, offer kindness like a shield, yet inside your spirit might be weary, longing for someone, anyone to notice the silent cries you bury within. It's in those spaces of loneliness that the unseen world leans in the closest. The heavens, far from being a distant detached realm, are actively watching, listening and holding you in ways you may not even realize. Even when you feel forgotten by people, overlooked by life, or burdened by trials too heavy to name, the heavens see you. And they don't just see you. They remember you, they honor you, they hold the light of your soul tenderly in their keeping. Imagine the perspective of heaven for a moment. While you are caught in the minute-by-minute grind of this world, the eyes of heaven behold the eternal version of you. They see beyond your failures, your doubts, your mistakes and your losses. They see the child you once were, full of wonder and curiosity, before the world taught you how to shrink yourself to fit the expectations of others. They see the brave spirit you are when no one else is watching, the ways you keep going when every part of you wants to give up, the silent prayers you whisper in the dark when hope feels too far away. Heaven does not measure you by your performance or your perfection, but by your omission, by your prosperity when you're still proud of your own potential, like Philippa, persistence, your compassion, and the unbreakable light within you that refuses to die. Consider those moments when you've walked into a room and felt like no one noticed, when your efforts went unacknowledged, or when your pain was too invisible for others to recognize. In those moments it may seem as though your life is small, your presence insignificant, but from the view of eternity, nothing about you is insignificant. The very breath you draw, the thoughts you dare to think, the tears you release into your pillow, they are all precious in the sight of the divine. There's a reason why ancient texts and holy scriptures so often remind us that even the hairs of our head are numbered. It's not just poetic language, it's a truth designed to remind you of your inestimable worth in a world that often forgets to see. Those you've lost to heaven, those loved ones who have passed beyond the veil, have not ceased to love you. Love is not constrained by physical separation or even death. It remains, it lingers, it watches over you, in ways you might sense in the quiet moments when the room feels suddenly different, or a memory surfaces with impossible clarity. There are no coincidences in the spiritual realm. The nudge you feel to check on someone, the sudden wave of peace during your worst hour, the song that plays at the exact moment you need it, these are not accidents. They are heaven's way of reminding you that you are not alone, not abandoned, and never forgotten. And so often it is through the trials of invisibility that your spirit is being refined, your faith strengthened. The heavens operate on a different timetable than the earth. While we are often in a hurry for recognition, for resolution, for relief, the divine moves with eternal precision. There is no wasted season in your life. Even the times that feel stagnant, fruitless or painful are being woven into a masterpiece you cannot yet see. The loneliness you endure strengthens your empathy. The silence you suffer sharpens your inner hearing. The struggles you face stretch your capacity to carry the blessings that are yet to come. When you feel like giving up, remember that you are being watched, not with judgment, but with love. You are being cheered on by a cloud of witnesses, by ancestors whose blood runs in your veins, by loved ones whose prayers for you didn't end with their passing. They surround you, not bound by time or distance. A note in the eternal symphony, a star in a sky filled with divine intention. Heaven sees you. Heaven honors you. Heaven remembers you, always. There's a profound weight to final words. When someone you love crosses from this life into the next, their last words, their final messages, their parting sentiments, don't just echo for a moment. They settle into your heart like sacred stones. Carried with you through every season that follows, the human spirit instinctively grasps that when a soul prepares to leave this world, what they choose to say matters in ways that ordinary conversation never can. It is not simply about the words themselves, but the spirit they carry, the truths they reveal, and the love they leave behind. The power of those final moments is not contained by time. They linger, shape, and in many cases save us, long after the speaker is gone. When a person you love speaks to you from beyond, through memory, through dreams, through unexplainable signs, those words are charged with spiritual voltage. They are often words you didn't know you needed, messages you might have overlooked in the noise of daily life but which, in the quiet of grief, or the hush of memory, ring louder than anything else. What makes them sacred is not only the fact that they come from someone you cherished, but also that they bypass the ego, the pretenses, and the petty concerns that so often color earthly conversations. In those last words, you hear the raw, unfiltered essence of love, wisdom, and truth. Think of the stories passed down through generations: a mother's whispered blessing before her passing, a father's last advice to his child, a friend's dying affirmation of love and forgiveness. These words become family legends, spiritual anchors, invisible lifelines that people cling to in their darkest nights. They mark a soul's parting, but also its lingering presence. The last words of someone beloved carry an undeniable spiritual frequency, because they are untethered from the trivial. At that threshold between worlds, what matters most rises to the surface, leaving behind only what is eternal. It isn't only the spoken words at a deathbed that possess this sacred power. Sometimes the final messages come through letters, found years later, through a voice that suddenly replays in your memory when you need it most, through unexplainable moments where a phrase or thought arrives in your mind with startling clarity, as though whispered by someone no longer here. These are heaven's way of continuing conversations that this world believed were finished. Death may silence a voice, but it cannot extinguish a message meant for your spirit's keeping. There is immense healing in recognizing that you are still in conversation with those you love who have moved beyond the veil. The words they left you were not meant to be the end of your relationship, but the foundation for a different kind of companionship, one unbound by space and time. Those last words are like seeds planted in the soil of your soul. Some bloom immediately, offering comfort in the fresh ache of loss. Others lie dormant, waiting for a season in your life when you'll need their wisdom. There are times you will recall something they said with sudden relevance, as though they knew what storms you would face long after they left and sent you a lifeline in advance. The power of final words is that they remind us of who we are and what we are meant to become. A dying parent might urge a child to forgive, not just for peace in the present, but because that forgiveness will be a bridge the child will need to cross later in life. A friend's last encouragement might anchor your faith when the world feels faithless. A spouse's parting promise of eternal love might be the only thread holding you together in seasons when loneliness threatens to consume you. The potency of these words lies not only in their content but in the certainty with which they are delivered, the unfiltered sincerity born of one's imminent crossing. It is also vital to understand that the spiritual realm often continues to speak after a person passes. Last words are not always confined to a deathbed or a final conversation. Sometimes those we love who have moved on find ways to deliver messages through symbols, dreams, sensations, or moments of inexplicable peace. You might hear a familiar phrase in a stranger's voice, find a note you had long forgotten, or encounter a situation where their wisdom seems to replay in your mind as if spoken freshly. These are the unending last words, the sacred subtle ways in which the soul continues to communicate, reassuring you of its enduring presence. For many such moments bring tears and aching longing, but within that longing is a profound comfort, for it confirms what the soul already knows: love does not die, connection does not sever, and wisdom delivered at the threshold of this world and the next, has a staying power unlike anything else. In cultures and faith traditions across the world, there is an ancient understanding that messages from those who have passed are to be revered. They are viewed not as mere memories but as spiritual inheritances, guiding principles entrusted to the living. We are shaped often unknowingly by these final messages. A grandparent's instruction to never lose your kindness might soften your heart decades later when bitterness tempts you. A mother's simple reminder that you are stronger than you think might be the invisible hand steadying you as you face a loss she never lived to see. A friend's assurance that there's more beyond this life might be the seed of hope that stops you from surrendering to despair. Their last words become our silent mentors, carving paths through the unknown stretches of our lives. There is also a mysterious reciprocity in this relationship between the living and those beyond. As much as their words strengthen us, our remembrance of them, our speaking of their names, our living of lives worthy of their hopes continues to bless their souls in realms unseen. In many spiritual traditions it is believed that the departed find joy, peace, and even elevation when their memory is honored and their teachings lived out. The last words they left us become an active dialogue, a bridge that connects both worlds, sustaining them and us alike. In moments of deep grief, it can be difficult to remember these messages. The pain of absence sometimes deafens us to the spiritual whispers that surround us, but it is often in those exact moments, when we quiet our minds and soften our hearts, that those words return. They find their way back through songs, through scents, through flickers of memory, through dreams so vivid they blur the line between waking and sleep. There is a reason grief is so deeply entwined with memory, because in remembering, we are not merely recalling but communing. Many of the world's spiritual traditions hold space for practices that invite these final words back into conscious awareness. Lighting a candle in a quiet room, sitting with old letters or photographs, speaking their name aloud in prayer or meditation. These are not empty rituals,